What if the creator and ruler of the universe said to you, I'm going to grant you one wish? What would it be? In 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 5, we read that God comes to Solomon in a dream and says, ask for whatever you want me to give you. And what did Solomon ask for? Money, success, health, happiness, love, world peace? No, Solomon didn't ask for any of that. He asked for a receptive, understanding heart to discern between good and evil, right and wrong. In other words, he wanted wisdom. Wisdom to navigate his life, to live skillfully and govern his kingdom the right way, God's way. His answer pleases God. So in 1 Kings 3:12, he gives Solomon a wise and understanding heart, it says, such as no one else has had or ever will have. And we read in chapter 4, 29 and 30, that God gives Solomon wisdom, very great insight, and understanding, as vast as the sand on the seashore. And included in that wisdom was the ability to write proverbs. Verse 32 says, he composed some 3,000 proverbs. And in verse 34, kings from every nation sent their ambassadors to learn the wisdom of Solomon. The book of Proverbs has hundreds of these sayings. They're attributed to Solomon, but they're the wisdom of God. God's wisdom is the only real wisdom there is. My name is Larry Holmes. I'm starting this channel for my grandkids. It's a legacy of sort to teach them and anyone else who's interested how to live life and live it well. I'm 80 years old now, so it's time. It's time for me to do this. I'm retired in the sense that I no longer get paid for what I do. I've had two careers. In my first career after college, I was a financial advisor. They called us stockbrokers back then. I trained in the financial district of Wall Street and learned financial wisdom from some of the best financial minds there were at the time. And that became my career for about 23 years. And then I moved on to a 20-year career as a public speaker, presenting seminars in every state of the United States, parts of the United Kingdom, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, wherever they speak English, I've probably done seminars. I presented to close to 3,000 seminars and taught somewhere between 70 to 80,000 managers, professionals, employees of various organizations, covering just about anything you might come up with in the workplace. Financial topics like budgeting and understanding financial statements, management techniques, communication skills, legal skills, leadership, um, emotional intelligence, you name it, and I taught it. Spending all day with tens of thousands of people who were complete strangers at the beginning of the day, but they weren't strangers by the end of the day. And what wonderful memories I have of that experience. And then when I turned 71, I didn't want to do all that traveling anymore, so I retired. And now I'm an elder / pastor of a church in the suburb of Houston, where I still teach, preach, and lead. And so in some ways, I do what I've always done. It's just that now it's all about the gospel of Jesus Christ. So why Proverbs? Why wisdom? Well, during the summer of 2020, during the dark days of COVID, one of our deacons asked me, what does the church need most right now? And I said, wisdom. We need wisdom. And so I did a deep dive into God's book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs. I read the first 31, there's 31 chapters I read over and over again. And I accumulated a library of the best books I could find on Proverbs and wisdom. And then I started preaching sermons and teaching classes on Proverbs for my church. And now, as a legacy, I'm doing this YouTube channel on the wisdom of God. What does it take to live skillfully, to navigate life successfully, to live well, to be happy? That's what this channel is all about. That's what I hope to pass along to my grandkids and yours as well, and anyone else who's interested in learning skillful living. I'll begin with Tim and Kathy Keller's devotional on Proverbs. It's called God's Wisdom for Navigating Life, a year of daily devotions in the book of Proverbs. There are 365 devotions in the book, covering all kinds of subjects on how to navigate life. So that's going to keep this channel busy for quite some time. But with the life I've lived and the experiences I've had, I'll never run out of content. I've got more to say than I have years to live. One thing I want to tell you is nobody knows I'm doing this. My wife knows I'm planning to do something like this, but even she doesn't know when and what it's going to be about. Like I say, it's a legacy to train those who come after me. I fully expect to be talking to myself for a while. But if it's the Lord's sovereign will that anyone watch this, then in His providence, He'll make it happen. If not, so be it. I will do absolutely nothing to promote this channel. So the next video will be as soon as tomorrow, maybe. God willing, the creek don't rise. I'll begin with 6 videos on knowing wisdom. What is wisdom? Until then, go now in grace and peace.